lore heads, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
And today we're talking about the Deathsinger Karthus, who was released June 12th, 2009.
Yeah. Makes sense that he's
Real old, buddy.
old and shit.
He's all old and shit.
You know?
Yeah. He's basically bones.
I mean, that is where I was going with that, I guess.
He was born with the first breath of creation, of course. Not quite.
Oh, great.
No. But he did make it into the original Duel of Fates, or Clash of Fates.
Yeah, but like
cinematic.
Duel of Fates is something different.
That's a different thing. The Duel of the Clash of the Fates of the fighting. So, I mean, that's pretty old.
That is true. Yeah. That's a select few. It's like getting the beta icon or the summoner icon or whatever. There's a select few that have that on them.
He was not quite one of the original, right? But I think like shortly after, it's what it seems like.
If he made that trailer, I mean, I guess I don't know for sure. 2009? Man, that's pretty...
I feel like... Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I just forget.
I just assumed everyone that was in the launch trailer was
June.
Original.
June? Yeah, I was going to say, I thought launch trailer was like the original crew. I don't know. Now you've got me questioning it.
He might have been one of the original. I don't know. He's still kind of goofy looking. He was definitely goofy looking then, especially.
Did you ever see him with like really high attack speed? Because the way his old attack used to be, he would like his whole like upper torso would go this way, so he would be doing like this.
I haven't seen that, but I really need to see that now. That sounds great.
I remember when we were there, one of the things they talked about at the design workshop was having to specifically design attack speed animations around somebody building full attack speed so that it didn't look so stupid because they had made some poor decisions in the past.
That's smart.
Oh man,
because
you know, a million out there still that, yeah.
Someone's gonna do it. Someone's gonna build max attack speed on anybody.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. So Karthus is pretty old. He doesn't have much on the Riot Universe page. He has his bio and the short story that, we've come to expect. I'm sure he has some old lore, but we were kind of talking before we started recording that I'm guessing that he didn't have a lot. I feel like they came up with an idea of Karthus and didn't care as much about like where that came from, but I don't know if that's accurate.
Yeah, and his idea has evolved a lot. They pretty much just knew that they wanted some sort of singy Deathman, and that's as far as they got, and
sure.
It's evolved from there. So but yeah, he's got a little bit of old lore.
I would say, I mean, I guess we'll talk about it when we get to the old lore, but I feel like they didn't even get to the singing part. That was like something that makes its way halfway in. They just wanted to lich. They were like, I mean, in 2009, like the initial batch was just like, what's any trope? What's a thing that exists? Oh, it's a pot pan. Like, there you go. He's made out of silverware. Like, who the fuck knows, right? It's like the most basic shit you could come up with. Like, babies would be like, I don't know, skeleton man. There he is. There's Karthus.
So if Karthus were a piece of kitchenware, what do you think he would be?
Oh, man. Jesus. He's got his book. Maybe he's like a recipe book. Something like that.
Okay.
He's one of like
full of a lot of old recipes, but with a bunch of new ones handwritten into the.
But yeah, he doesn't have much going on in terms of modern lore either, to be fair.
Yeah. Although I do this is another one of the ones by Graham McNeil, so there's a lot more details to kind of pick out on because he throws a lot more details into his stories. So.
Yeah, the bio comes together in a way that's like sensical, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think overall it's all good. There's just not a lot of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's not really doing much either. He's just one of those folk who just kind of chills out in Runeterra.
Yeah, he's fucking vibing.
Mm-hmm. He's walking around. I like the death.
I like the death.
I like the death.
So I was going to say, who wants to be the first to do their Karthus impression? But I guess,
there we go. Well, the real question is, are we doing original Karthus, or are we doing the actual Karthus, which is Pentakill Karthus?
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know if I've heard original Karthus.
I think it's completely up to you. Although Pentakill Karthus is real Karthus, I agree.
Yeah, right.
Is it?
The original one makes me think of a little bit like Lucius Malfoy. He's very like, Arthur Weasley, but all with a dead filter on. What is he?
Filter.
Where's that filter? We got to add that to
Our whole podcast.
We should add that to the Callista episode when we were doing impressions. I didn't know we had one of them.
Yeah, right. He says stuff like, "You have been dying since your first breath."
Wow, he's basically writing the poetry that I was writing when I was 15.
Yeah, he and Vex would be super pals.
And then he
frankly.
sings it.
He's a big fan of Evanescence.
God, he actually should pair up with Vex. They like, it makes total sense.
Right?
Yeah, they're super edgelordy.
God, that's a real shame that Rise of the Sentinels didn't do that at all.
That's who Vex should be obsessed with. I don't like her being obsessed with Viego. I find that very off-putting. But Karthus,
Yeah.
Oh my
that
God.
makes so much more sense.
They're like two of the only Shadow Isles champions that aren't from the Shadow Isles, so it makes perfect sense.
Sure.
right.
They
Pentakill,
both just visited there because they liked the fucking vibes.
Pentakill fangirl skin for Vex. Come on. And she'll have like
Oh my
posters and shit and like oh man.
I would love that.
Right?
That'd be a great Vex skin. Is she's just a #1 Pentakill fan? Hell
Yeah,
yes.
#1 Pentakill fan Vex. There it is. Ship it, Riot.
You're welcome.
It's really good. Yeah.
We accept Venmo, Riot. So I wrote down a few quotes for you. Did you want to...
Wow! That's the one I want to do.
Oh man, my face just melted.
That's the only quote I remember.
It's very good.
Thanks. John got a nice visual of that one.
Dear diary, met a wonderful ghoul today.
I knew you'd love that
That's
one.
not a quote. That's
That
not
is a quote.
What? I play Karthus in ARAM. That's a quote he says?
That's like an
Yeah,
emo
I need
though,
to
right?
find
It's like
it.
his joke.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a joke?
It's not like his more edgelord.
He has too many.
You are the candle burning unto nothing.
All right.
So who wants to take us through Graham McNeil's Karthus bio?
So Mark and I came to the realization when you were in the bathroom that neither of us took any notes
It's okay.
this week.
It's
We
fine.
both just had a week. I don't know what happened, and it happened at the same time. And
Well,
Yeah.
I can do it. I remember it, I think.
Yeah.
They're both good, I would say. The bio's kind of long. It's like 1,100 words. You'd think you need notes to, tell that, but trust me, we'll be fine. And the
Took a
short
bunch
story,
of notes, just not about any of the story.
right?
Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
And the short story is also good. That one's also by Graham McNeil, I think. So it's interesting that he maybe came in and handled the update. But so Karthus was originally from Noxus, and he was essentially one of their like his whole family was destitute. They were just poverty stricken, and I guess there was like a plague of some sort that kind of ravaged these poor areas outside of the Noxian capital, and and it's kind of a consistent thing that's happening where people are just dying around him constantly because he's in such a shitty area. And rather than hating that, Karthus kind of loves it. He's just super fascinated by death and the concept of like, ooh, that moment, that sweet, the money shot of when you die and go from life to death. He's edging constantly. But I mean, is he not?
I do have that in my notes specifically.
Which phrase did you use here?
Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can figure out where this is.
Well, I know they talk about how he desperately wants to see someone actually die and see it happen, and he is denied that constantly. It's always like, oh, you can't really keep track of when someone's going to die, so it just kind of happens.
Okay, so I wrote a quote about this specifically that says, Karthus was the ever dutiful brother, caring for his sisters as the disease consumed them. And then I wrote, waiting for that sweet, sweet moment of death so he could stop edging.
I mean, it's a read you could take on it. I don't know. It's a shame because it's also very dark, right? Because like you said, his family gets sick, right? And while his dad just like fucks off, he cares for his sisters, but also does it kind of with the goal of seeing them die and see what happens. And they also have mention of these like kindred tally men, like sort of like people who go around and collect all the bring, they're the bring out your dead guys, which I couldn't find reference to outside of this. I don't know if either of y'all were able to.
No, it definitely seemed like it maybe was just for this story. I mean, I liked the touch. It was cool, given them the name to tie it back into the overall, mythos of Runeterra was really cool.
Yeah.
But I liked that. It was a good touch.
Yeah, it makes me like a little sad that they only show up here. I wish we could see more of these guys, because they go around and collect the dead, and they're like driving around carts full of them. Karthus eventually joins them, and he works his way up the ranks, and they talk about how he's driving around his cart of the dead and singing these dirges, and people really love it. It's like, it gives them a lot of closure and helps them feel good about it. But Karthus really he's just having a grand old time. He is loving his life, right?
I love this bit. They said the tallymen quickly recognized Karthus's suitability for their order because he was asking them like a ton of like really fucking weird questions. I love that. Like, oh, you are a fucking weirdo. You are perfect for us, baby.
You want a job?
And it says that he starts as a digger of graves, and then he works his way up to a pyre builder, and then he ascends to like the top rank of corpse collector. Like, the fuck? That's your top rank? Hard pass on this job.
Yeah.
The bennies are out of this world, man. Let me tell you. They just give you all stock options out the
all
ass.
You can eat corpse.
But they are cool.
What do you think the top rank should be?
Don't have to touch corpses, guy.
Right?
Gets to go
but
live
they
a
all
normal
like
life.
Corpses.
That's true. That's true, I suppose.
Singer of the funereal dirges.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Which seems like it would have been up his alley anyway.
I don't know. Anyway, so that exactly happens, and it's still not enough, right? He's always trying to like he's chasing specifically sort of the moment of like trying to capture the moment between when you die and when like life leaves you, kind of the exact moment of death, and trying to get stuck there. And lo and behold, there's a great place called the Shadow Isles where that shit's happening all the time. So he goes out, and he just kind of, it's interesting because he kind of just lets the black mist overtake him. And even though he dies, he is so consumed by that will to kind of experience it, he manages to keep his form like those other strong wraiths have. And he essentially just kind of goes around with the goal of like, oh, this is great. This is amazing. I want to give this gift to everybody. And that's sort of what he continues to do.
Yeah.
That just means he kills them.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be clear,
Karthus
he
is
fucking
kind
kills
of,
them.
oh yeah, he kills folks. Karthus is kind of the poster child for like The Secret, because he just like goes to the Shadow Isles and he just believes he's undying. So then instead of dying, he becomes this undying creature. You just gotta fucking journal it every day, put it on your vision board, and you can live forever, folks.
I mean, unironically, yes, in Runeterra, because we know that's kind of how it works. Is if you really want to do something, you can kind of keep your shit together. So yeah, vision boards are where it's at, I guess. I don't know.
I like that they said too that he was looking for that exact moment where life ends but before death begins, which according to the description that they gave is exactly where Sako, the sock puppet from Bo Burnham's Inside, lives. So maybe that's why Sako is so wise.
Sure. Maybe. Moving on.
It was funny. The description that Sako gave of where he lives is almost exactly the same as the one that Graham McNeil gives in this story, as far as to say the subliminal state between life and death.
So
Or neither
Sako,
living nor alive.
big fan of League of Legends. Big fan of Karthus.
Karthus
You
main.
heard it here first, folks.
Karthus main.
Yeah. I liked a few of the details. So Karthus grew up in a really rat-infested house, and his family subsisted on vermin. So, I mean, that kind of seems like a lucky deal for me. I mean, if it wasn't so rat-infested, they probably would have gone hungry. So, I mean, count your blessings, am I right?
Right? These ungrateful
Karthus
fucking peasants.
He was the best at killing the rats, too.
He was.
He was real good.
He was the best ratter. He was the Charlie Kelly of Runeterra.
Huffing paint and everything.
Huffing paint. That's why he's so fucked up.
Oh, man.
Kill a
That's
rat, huff some paint, look for dead bodies.
It is. So it does specifically say in the story that he regularly brought gnawed corpses to the cook pot, as in they were uncooked rats that he gnawed on before bringing to the pot to be cooked.
I mean, he did catch them. He gets first dibs.
Yeah, he gets first gnaw.
Gets to chew the flavor out first before
territorial right of the rat catchers.
Man, Karthus had a hard fucking life. Okay,
yeah.
He really
He
did.
seemed to
actually.
like it.
Yeah, he didn't seem that bothered. I mean, I guess maybe it's just a coping mechanism. I don't know, but maybe when you're surrounded by so much death, it's like, yeah, you gotta see the bright side. It's like, this is cool. I guess I don't know.
Just keep imagining him like whistling his way through the corpse-ridden streets.
Right. That would be pretty funny. That would be a good like 4-panel comic. Yeah, I don't know. Karthus is kind of interesting, honestly. I actually kind of wish we had more for him because I think he's a fun little villain in that he is, I don't want to say like insane necessarily, but like he does things not out of raw malice. He's just got this completely warped view on things, right? So he's a little more interesting when he's doing his stuff, like we see in the short story. And he's one of the few kind of like Thresh, I guess, who seems to really enjoy being undead, and like we saw in the Callista episode where Thresh is like, oh, this is great, we're like gods. He and Karthus seem like they would bro it up a lot. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I am curious what Thresh would think of Karthus.
He's got like a quote towards him. It seems like maybe Karthus feels like Thresh is like, what would you say, John? Like wasting his undeath?
Yeah, and I could see animosity there too, because Karthus does genuinely believe like he's giving a gift to these people. So it's true. It'd probably be a dick move, like, oh, I just saved the soul, and now you're trapping it in your lantern and torturing it. Like, don't be a dick, man. Come on,
yeah,
be cool.
Yeah, I guess one other thing to mention here that I feel like doesn't really communicate a lot through Karthus is this idea that as he's killing people, he is sort of accruing them as like an army, or right? They're under his control.
Yeah, it is specified that they are kind of under his control, which is or like not even under his control, but kind of like willingly following him. It almost seems like.
Yeah, maybe.
Which, I mean, maybe there's something to this whole thing. Maybe he's right. Maybe he is giving a sweet gift.
Maybe he's
I don't know about that.
Maybe he's just the best option once you're dead and in the Shadow Isles. It's like, well, I could go into the Hell Smoke, or I could listen to Karthus sing. You know,
he's got a good voice.
Yeah, he's pretty that dulcet tune. All right.
So I don't know. There's a lot in here, and I wonder if some of this is because he got the VGU in like 2015. Is that when he got updated around?
I have zero idea, but that sounds right to me.
That's my guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
You said it with such confidence that I'm inclined to believe you.
I think so, because I was trying to find who voices his new voice, and I couldn't find it. And I saw a bunch of people asking around 2015. So, but yeah, I wonder if some of that's just like, oh, they were trying to be beholden to some of these things in the lore, and it makes him a little. He's got a lot going on, for for Karthus. I don't know.
For one little old spirit.
Yeah.
I Googled it to see if it would come up right away. And one of like those questions that pops up that like people ask, is Karthus dead?
I mean, it's a good question. How do you define death versus undeath?
Yeah. I mean,
so.
Yeah, that's, doesn't that come up in the old lore a little bit even?
It does, yes.
I guess we should do the short story, though, which I don't remember what it was actually called.
It's called Burial at Sea, also by Graham McNeil.
Nice.
Yeah, so this one follows a Noxian, well, I guess she's a captain, but sort of by way of field promotion, because the original captain died. And they're listlessly at sea, and they have been for 6 days, kind of, I guess, somewhere on the eastern coast of Valor and somewhere around Bilgewater, maybe. Maybe they floated too far south. And they have not been able to make any headway. And this captain is kind of trying to figure out what to do when the black mist shows up. And it seems like maybe they floated further closer than they meant to. And really, Karthus is amongst the mist, and they sort of overrun the ship. They kill off the crew. And, at the end, Karthus, along with the spirits of all of the crew members that he and the black mist have killed, gives the gift of death to our captain, our hapless, captain.
Interestingly, in this one, too, is an aspect that I don't feel like we get elsewhere, because It says that, I mean, a bunch of the crew had died, and they were kind of wrapped up on deck. And when Karthus came and essentially reaped the souls of the crew, that included the souls of the people who had already died who knows how long ago. So they had already passed that point, that, that sweet spot that Karthus normally looks for. And he got their souls anyway.
It's true. And it's like, I think at least 6 days. That's the number they give here, that they've been just stuck in this one spot. So maybe even more. It's a neat little scene because they're all, like you said, they're all wrapped up in these kind of canvas bags. And as the narrator, our captain, is like backing away from Karthus, the bags under her start like writhing and moving, and the souls are kind of like escaping out like steam and stuff out of little rips and tears. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Honestly, I was surprised that they saved the bodies. I feel like this might be going back to one of the Xin Zhao stories that we read when we were going through Jarvan, but if I remember correctly, unless I'm completely just fabricating this, I feel like Xin Zhao had a line where he mentioned how the Noxians didn't collect their dead from the battlefields, and he found it really weird that the Demacians actually did collect their dead and bring them back. Whereas for like the Noxians, like, that's just, there's no better place to be than the battlefield, I guess, if you're dead. So it seemed weird that that the Noxian captain wouldn't have given the crew that died kind of like the old, I guess, as said here, burial at sea.
Hey, yeah, it's a good question. Well, I know in one kind of very recent development with Legends of Runeterra is the idea of Noxus using necromancy. I guess they kind of do that with Scion, right? But maybe it's the case that they're now collecting their dead for that purpose. I don't know. It kind of depends on where this sits in the timeline.
If she had given them the burial at sea, their souls wouldn't have been reaped.
It's true. Yeah, it's a little interesting. I think it's just a really cool visual. I think it's really what it's there for. But yeah, it seems like it'd be reasonable. Like we can toss these guys.
Yeah. We could toss them.
I feel like it's also mentioned too that when Karthus reaps the souls, he adds notches to his past because at his core he's still just a kindred tally man. But I feel like his stick must be way more tally than stick at this point.
I'm a 5 tally man. No, I remember thinking that
around with just handfuls of stay.
I remember thinking that too, where he's like, I was like, yeah, he's got to have how many, like you said, how many stabs has he gone through or something, right? Like, I don't know.
Might be very tiny tallies.
Right. It says he does them with his fingernail, which I thought was kind of cool.
I was gonna ask too. I'm like, does he have a knife? I was
He
just
flips
picturing
out his switchblade.
Karthus has nasty fingernails.
Yeah.
You could tell.
You know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nasty pointy
tally nails.
little witch nails.
It's a cool visual though. There's some cool,
it is,
like little things like that around Karthus that I wish. That's why I'm like, I wish we had another story, or I wish we're maybe better communicated in his gameplay a little. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely didn't really get any of this from his gameplay.
What, you don't think throwing Skittles on the fucking ground has a bunch to do with being a tally man?
Those are the souls. That's what he does with them. He just pops them.
Yeah.
Reap the rainbow.
That's a good one.
It makes me feel bad for all the Skittles that I miss, and it's a lot of them. I'm just popping souls uselessly. Your sacrifice wasn't in vain. I promise I'll hit one eventually.
Oh man.
Now there was one detail in this story too. The ship that they sailed out on was called the Darkwill.
Oh yeah.
Which made me curious if this actually belonged to a Darkwill or whether it was like, I mean, they specifically said that the captain, I think they either said the captain's name or it was not a Darkwill.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if this was like an honorary, like, in honor of Darkwill, we shall name our ship Darkwill, or if this actually did belong to Borm Darkwill at some point.
Well, that's a really good, I think what's interesting about that is because I was also interested with Karthus being Noxian, but living in such shitty conditions, which I'm not saying can't happen at all. It just made me curious because I don't think so far we've really seen anything like that depicted when talking about Noxus, you know?
Yeah.
So it made me wonder, like you said, I kind of forgot that it was called the Darkwill. Like maybe all of this is taking place a lot further back in the past, maybe, and maybe things were a little more harsh I guess, in old Noxus. Like around the time you would look at Darkwill as like a good thing rather than like a deposed loser or whatever.
Or maybe it was a really shitty boat.
Yeah.
Named by Swain himself.
It would make sense. It took place a while ago. You know, Karthus has to be at least like 100 or 200 years old for
Yeah, that's true.
for him to be a champion.
That's true. But
Now he also shows up in the Princeling's Lament, which was the one that we had covered the other week with Callista, also by Graham McNeil, which is basically a poem telling the story of the original ruination and then picking up with a new prince traveling to the Isles to save his dead wife. So the basic synopsis of this story: the prince's wife was poisoned, so he went to the Shadow Isles hoping to revive her. He encounters Hecarim, who kills all his men, and Yorick, who helps him temporarily banish the mist and then tells him the tale of how the Shadow Isles came to be. And he also tells him about how the Ruinations were the prelude to the Deathsinger's Dirge. Then we find out that the prince is actually the one who poisoned his wife to get her father's wealth, and he came here to learn the secrets of immortality, not actually revive her. Unfortunately, his wife made a deal with Callista, so she straight up murders him. And then his soul's taken by Thresh for infinite torment. The end.
yeah, I got hit with the old Shadow Isles 1-2. It is fun that this little poem
Hecarim Thresh.
They did the alley-oop on his ass.
Karthus was in the background, just kind of singing in the shower.
Yeah!
But yeah.
Yeah, I want to go over some of his old lore.
Yeah, do we have anything to say about his canon lore?
I think I said it before. It's just not a lot going on, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah.
He's kind of got a cool image. I think I said it also, but his gameplay to me does not really line up with a lot of what's presented here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was definitely one of it. And his gameplay hasn't changed a whole lot. Like, he's one of the few older champions that, like, they kind of locked in early, and they're like, that works, and they fucking stuck with it.
That's interesting. I was going to ask how different he might have been, because I know a lot of old champs are very different.
Yeah, I think the biggest change I can think, I feel like his Defile range used to be much bigger, but...
Sure. But even then,
other
right?
than that, like, it's pretty the same as it is now.
Yeah, when you're talking, like, changes to, like, ranges and shit, for the most part, it's like, oh, the rest of the kit's super stable, like you said. He's interesting.
Yeah,
he's kind of iconic, I feel like, as one of the champions in League, you know? At least in terms of his R, right?
Exactly. A lot of memes about his R. Honestly, too, I don't know if this has changed now, but I know that when I started, he was the most confusing champion to play against as a new player, because I would kill him and I'd be like, I won the fight. And then I would die and my teammates would be like, would you stop feeding this guy? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm killing him. I'm doing good. And he kills me after he's dead. I don't get it.
I'm going to be honest, Sean. Even now, people don't seem to remember that Karthus still can still hurt you.
I'm one of them. So many times.
Yeah, I definitely forget.
You know, well, now that can happen
But
for everybody
fun.
with Chem Tech or whatever.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody gets a little taste of Karthus life.
Right.
All right, old lore.
All right, so his original bio was pretty short, so I'm just going to read it. There's a proverb about death. Death is death, and we'll hear no denial. It's a good proverb.
Great proverb.
Karthus nods, knowing the ultimate truths therein. The vast quantities of magical energy that have been released during Valoran's numerous rune wars have scarred much of Valoran. Many remote locales continue to be twisted by residual magic, making them places where few dare to go. And we've got an old locale name spot coming up. The Howling Marsh is one of these places, and the self-appointed overlord of this land is the lich known as Karthus. Some speculate that Karthus was a mage who, in life, was foolish enough to enter the fetid waters seeking his fortune, and that he was forever transformed by whatever dark magic permeates the swamp. On the darkest of nights, Karthus is said to sing the tales of those who have succumbed to the swamp, past and present.
I think that's an interesting little trope in old League lore, where they would have all these different little named like regions or spaces that like every champion is individually from. There's no one else that comes from the Howling Marsh, I bet. Right?
Well, it's his domain. 'Tis a
Yeah.
place of death.
Yeah, I guess when you had like 15 champions, that kind of made sense to do that in a way. You know, they're trying to like build the world. It was a good
Yeah.
way. I think it sounds like it was a good way for them to begin the world building to make it what it is now.
Yeah. And I will say it did quickly get updated. That was kind of his original lore. His lore, the very first update they got made to his lore added in the fact that Karthus' tenure in the League of Legends is one of the more unusual ones in the history of the League. First, it's highly unusual that a Lich, who's known for isolation and hatred of life, would even be willing to be part of an organization which promoted the preservation of life. Also, Karthus specifically eschews the accrual of power and influence gained through service to the League. He's essentially an unpaid volunteer. And this behavior is completely different than what his life outside of the League would have onlookers believe. Karthus has never spoken about his intentions in being a champion of the League, and in fact, becomes quite agitated when asked about it. In the interests of not aggravating a Lich, most sensible people subsequently drop the issue.
That was Riot being like, we can't think of a
We don't
reason
fucking
why.
Because he likes it, all right?
So please don't ask.
You
'cause
got
he gets
180
upsetty.
hours of community service. I do love that. Yeah, that like fucking got me, man. I don't know. We'll just make him mysterious about it. We'll kick that can.
As a writer, I want to do that a lot, so I get
Because I said so,
fuck it,
fuckbag.
you know, shit. Shut up. It's just enjoy the story.
I mean, you know, it is kind of funny, I will say.
Now, he also appears in 2 episodes of the Journal of Justice.
Oh, he's the one who leaked the nudes.
He's not the one who leaks the nudes. In issue 12, in the question segment, which in the Journal of Justice is called the Mailbag of Justice, somebody asks... Yes? That is the
That one really got you, huh?
I just like took a second to sink in with what that meant.
It sounds kind of like, you know how like Batman adds bat to like all of his, it's a bat anti-shark repellent spray. It's kind of like the Journal of Justice just adds justice to everything. This is our commentary of justice.
Yeah, I like
So
that.
in the Mailbag of Justice, someone asked if anything was known about Karthus before he became a Lich. They said no, but they did get a quote from him following a match. In life, there was one worth singing for, forever. I have kept my promise, though to some now the song is not as lovely as it was once meant to be. So, fuck if I know what that means. It seems like they probably don't know either. That maybe they were like, all right, we're going to rewrite his lore and this is all going to be for something. And then they changed their mind.
Well, I'm definitely glad they didn't, because it sounds like a love interest
Yeah.
there, and I am so glad he doesn't have a love interest. It makes him so much better. I think a love interest would not work with Karthus.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can't
Pentakill
imagine
Karthus, it would.
a little meet cute with Karthus and his fucking Bradley old bones.
They share a nod rat together. They like slurp up the tail. Me in the middle.
Fuck yes. Oh,
I'm gonna
man.
barf.
That's a really good one.
This is the night.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm glad all that
I
shit's
would
gone.
really love to meet the woman who would be into Karthus, though, or man, I should say.
He's got that voice, I
They'd
guess.
be a... Oh, true.
Yeah. So, issue 21, Kassadin and Malzahar got into a magical fight, and Karthus just kind of got caught in the middle and was found dead. It's said that they were able to revive him, given that he was never technically alive to begin with. No one was sure why he was even there, but one onlooker heard him talking about protecting the inhibitor, but was referring to something other than the Field of Justice inhibitors. An interesting fact about this story, the only reason they even found him was because Kog'Maw went to the Institute of Justice and led them there like a little puppy.
Man.
They were a couple things. They were really throwing things at the wall and seeing what stuck. But also, the Journal of Justice now sounds like some shitty fan fiction that someone wrote about League of
Need some
Legends.
awesome fan fiction. And then Garen comes in and brings in frosty chocolate milkshakes. Oh, it's great. It's like, yeah, fuck it, why not,
Let's
right?
all be friends now.
Kale flies over. Like, who gives a shit?
It is one thing I miss about this Journal of Justice is that it forced so many champions to interact with each other that normally wouldn't, and that is like comedy gold, dude.
Yeah. I know when you like listen to things like Office Ladies when they talk about, you know, combining characters in the office that wouldn't normally get combined just to kind of see what fun stories evolve. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they were giving it a shot.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's funny shit.
Now, Karthus is part of a few cinematics. First of all, he's in Just One More. That was the one where every League of Legends player knows what it's like to chase the next win, and this one is inspired by the true story of the 5 North American League of Legends players with the longest losing streak in one sitting. Basically, Karthus' role in this was the group of 5-man gank Karthus. They kill him, and then he ults for a pentakill. We have all been there.
Yeah. Especially with First Strike.
And like we mentioned, he's also in the Clash of Fates, which is the launch cinematic. From the mines behind Dota All-Stars.
Oh, man.
It's the opening line of that cinematic.
What?
Yeah. It's we should talk about that at some point. That whole thing is interesting.
Right?
I feel like.
I love that this was a cinematic for a video game that launched by saying like, from the minds of that one mod of that other company's video game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I completely fucking forgot that that's in there because all I remember is the stupid models and them all like lined up like Smash, you know, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Dude, that was straight Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I forgot about that shit. That's probably the most interesting thing of that whole thing. Fuck.
And then finally, while he doesn't show up in the Mac client launch, there is a reference to him in the Mac client launch. There's an emergency button on the wall that says, press R to win.
Cute.
Which, yeah, this was deep in the days of the press R to win Karthus memes. Now from the comic side, he's in Fireside Frightener. This was the one where Darius, Draven, Jinx, Vi, and Tristana, and Lucian are all syncing up to tell scary stories around a campfire. Darius tells the tale of a battle between Karthus and Fiddlesticks. And in the battle, Karthus summons his minions, but they are straight up torn up by Fiddlesticks' winged terrors, which is an interesting dynamic there. I don't feel like the crow should be able to tear up those spirits, but that's what happened.
They've got relic beaks, okay? Man.
God, I was gonna say that would be such an interesting fight, but that would be such a boring fight. It'd be like when Superman battles other Superman people. I don't really know anything about Superman, sorry. When it's just like people who can't die slapping into each other. God, that's still.
Yeah. You just kind of get to watch cities destroy around them while
Yeah.
they don't damage each other. It's fun times.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you chuckling about? You reading my
Nothing.
quotes
Yes.
page? So Karthus has a lot of quotes that reference other shit. A lot of them are Pentakill. Not all of them though. A lot of his normal references are just normal old Karthus doing Karthus thingies. He has the quote, "I am become death," which is either a reference to J. Robert Oppenheimer, who is one of the fathers of the atomic bomb, quoting the Bhagavad Gita, or it could just be a direct quote of that. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Although given the explosive nature of his ult, it is probably the Oppenheimer one.
Seems more like a Heimer thing, but well.
That is, I think, half of where his name comes.
Right?
Isn't it?
It's interesting he doesn't have...
Oppenheimer and Schrodinger.
Yeah. Oh, well.
And then he's got, what's the incantation again? Yes, oh, right, R. Which is another reference to his press R to win.
Is this a pentakill one?
No, this is his normal.
That's kind of meta, huh?
It's pretty meta.
It's your champion telling you to ult.
Do you have a moment to talk about death?
Oh my god.
That, classic Mormon. And gaze upon me and despair, which is probably a reference to Percy Bysshe Shelley's Ozymandias. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. And obviously Pentakill Karthus has a ton of references because they threw a ton of metal references in there just for him. I wrote down a few of them here. We got the You Can't Kill the Metal, or a Tenacious D reference from the song The Metal. And they've got a bunch from Brutal Legend.
Yeah.
More Jack Black goods.
Yeah, that's right. There's like 3 of them. Is that right? At least.
Yeah. I got like Silence Groundwalker. What have I done? Created beauty by simply rocking, that's all. And what is that sound? It's the pounding of creation's hammer on the anvil of time.
Good shit.
Yeah, it's metal. Tower Diver. Gotta get away, get away.
Ronnie James Dio.
Holy Diver by Dio, yeah. Die for Metal is a Manowar reference. Death is blacker than the blackest black. Times infinity is a Metalocalypse quote.
I was laughing when I saw that one. I was surprised they were referencing that. That's like extra meta, right? Because now you're joking about a show that's joking about metal.
Which I guess is kind of the same for Brutal Legend.
Yeah, I suppose I guess that's also true.
Or, in this next case, Spinal Tap. This is 11.
I don't know a lot about metal, so I didn't really. I know that Dio song, but
Well, there you go. You're a regular old metalhead.
Did you not play
also
Brutal
I
Legend?
know Tenacious. I did not play Brutal Legend. No. And I know Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny is not a great movie, but I really want to watch it now.
But it's a fun movie. It's an
It's a
entertaining
very fun movie, and the music's great.
It is. I will say, of all the Tenacious D songs, I was a little disappointed that The Metal was actually the one that made it to Guitar Hero.
I don't even think I know that one.
I feel like they had so many better options.
Yeah, I mean,
The whole song is just like, Punk tried to kill the metal.
Oh, I do know that song.
Wow, I didn't think that would be the thing that jogged it.
I mean, that's the whole song.
It is the whole
whatever
song.
tried to kill the metal. I forgot that song existed. I haven't heard it since, I don't know, 2008 or some shit.
I remember it being
I
a
would
lot
have
of
loved
fun.
the fucking Pick of Destiny showdown on there. That would have been
It's
great.
such
Yeah,
a good
that would've been
song,
a good one.
dude.
When they had like the God, it's been forever talking about old ass Guitar Hero. They had like the dual type shit. That would have been yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Guitar Hero, make it, remake it.
So he's part of a few AUs. Does anyone have anything they wanted to talk about before we hop into some of them?
No.
There's not a lot, so I get
Yeah.
that.
Now that I'm looking at the Karthus skins, because this is what I always do, I hope that there's a story for the Statue of Liberty Karthus. Is there?
Day job.
Riot!
Well, I mean, technically, yeah.
He's in KDA
we'll go to that one
universe,
first, then.
technically speaking.
It is part of the Wonders of the World AU. Set in an alternate Earth, each champion represents the culture of a real-world nation, and this one is the Statue of Karthus. At the entry point of one of the world's most powerful nations stands the 305-foot-tall statue of an evil undead preacher holding a giant torch. Sometimes it comes to life. It's fun. Statues are fun.
Wow.
That sounds so cool. That would be a great like fantasy, like dark fantasy setting type situation. You got this big empire with this big gigantic 300-foot lich. I don't know, man. I love it. So wait, is like Uncle Rise in that AU? Or no, because then you'd have 2 US skins. Like who else is in that?
There are multiple US.
Okay.
Uncle Rise might actually be part of that AU.
Okay.
I do remember there being a second US one at the very least.
Okay.
Now, he's also part of the Infernal, set in an area where the Ashen Lord has been summoned and transformed the world into a land of ashes, cinders, and fire. This one is Infernal Karthus. The disciples of Karthus ushered this infernal harbinger into the world by singing his discordant chorus, a pledge that beckons pillars of flames unto them. On his arrival, the Deathsinger's chant summons columns of hellfire that descend from the heavens above. Few live to tell the tale of the dirge they heard before the flames swept the land.
Pretty cool, nice and fiery.
So it's like normal Karthus, but with fire.
Yeah. He shares this splash art with Kennen, and I'm very interested to see how they are linked together in that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the Infernal storyline or a lot of the Infernal characters are kind of like, this is that character, but with fire. My guess is that that's with Kennen, too. He brings lightning bolts of fire.
Yeah, he races across, spreading a blazing inferno as he moves. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
He's also part of Rift Quest, which is their D&D skin line.
Yeah. No, it's no, this is his own one.
Lightsbane.
Yeah. I never see this one.
Danger lurks in the land of Runeterra. Powerful monsters, dastardly sorcerers, and mythical creatures roam unchecked. Gather your friends and create your own adventure for 3 to 5 players, vanquishing evil with each roll of the die. Do you have what it takes to save the world and become a legend of Rift Quest? Now this is Karthus Lightsbane, who in D&D is a necromancer. Dark sorcerer, master of forbidden magic, aspiring lich. All could describe Karthus Lightsbane, a high-level spellcaster with shadowy motivations. The rest of the party is convinced he'll eventually betray them, since nothing in the Rift Quest rules says he can't.
He's that guy? Okay.
He is that guy.
Kick him out.
There's also a side story associated with this one called Attack of the Demon Poro. So this one, Sejuani's DMing this campaign, and the party rolls poorly, and they have to fight demon Poros. Jace drops an acceleration gate and says, I'm gonna blast him with a hypercharge. Our future will be bright. Sejuani yells at him to stay in character because his character cannot do that. Bard chimes, but nobody can speak Bard's language except for Karthus, who translates for Bard. It wants to know if Jace's attack should be included in the song it's composing about the campaign. Also, it thinks that demon Poros are too scary and requests that they change them to candy Poros. Sejuani, ever the obliging DM, decides to do that. So then Jace attacks by dropping an acceleration gate and blasting him with the hypercharge. Face the future! Bard gets confused and starts chiming again, and Sedge gets upset and kills the party with falling rocks, and then Bard chimes sadly.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute. I remember this one with Jace, but it's a cute little one.
Next, he's part of High Noon. At the height of the Industrial Revolution, travelers begin pouring into the untamed West, searching for fortune and prosperity among the unknown horrors of cruel and ancient world. It is a time of brave gunslingers and rotten scoundrels, inscrutable gods, and savage demons. And I know you, in your seats at home, and you, Mark and Rebecca, might be thinking to yourself, well, what Karthus skin is this?
Yeah.
No Karthus skin is
I had a good
this.
3 seconds of confusion on my face after you said that.
Karthus does not have a High Noon skin, but he is in the story the man with the grinning shadow, where Lucian is looking for Senna, and he hears tell of a reverend in New Eden who can speak with the dead.
Ooh.
So he goes to visit Karthus, and this entire world is basically post-apocalyptic, so everything is just destroyed. And when he gets to this town, everything is bright, clean. It's got prospering farms. It's got happy children. Everyone's happy to see Lucian. They're welcoming him. Everyone's so bright. He's like, man, this guy must have some power if he's been able to protect this small corner of the globe for so long. Then the demon inside Lucian, who Lucian has a demon inside of him in this AU. The demon inside Lucian tries to warn him, like, hey, dude, y'all, these guys are monsters.
This is some Fae shit. Right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, so the demon always kind of like talks to Karthus and is like, or talks to Lucian and is kind of like whispering dark things at him all the time. But Karthus silences the spirit inside of Lucian's head as soon as it tries to warn Lucian that everyone around them is a demon. And then as Lucian watches, the town slowly warps. The church in the center of the town starts rotting, and the human disguises of all the townsfolk melt away. And then Karthus floats into the air and attacks.
It's like a D&D.
Let's say roll initiative.
The demon and Lucian manage to work together to destroy all of Karthus's undead. And the town kind of falls away after that. And then Lucian leaves to, one of the things that Karthus had shown Lucian was Senna, who, Lucian presumes dead in this world too. So he leaves. Up until this point in his story, he had just been primarily hunting for Senna to try and find her. Seeing her kind of puts his mind at ease a little bit, like, all right, I'm going to see her again when I die. So in the meantime, I'm going to go find Thresh instead and fuck that bitch up.
This is pretty cool. How's Karthus described in this story? I'm curious, because he doesn't look like a skeleton the whole time, right?
No, he just kind of looks like a friendly dude. Like a friendly, happy pastor.
I'd love like a skin like this for Karthus, because I feel like his skins are all very similar, a lot of them. None of them really do much for me.
Yeah.
The Karthus skins.
Yeah. I could, like, a human Karthus skin, but, like, with, I don't know, like, some tiny detail about it, like blazing in the eyes or some shit like that to let you know, like, oh, he's gonna turn undead. Just, like, something very, like, small.
I like the idea a lot. I wonder if Riot would probably be hesitant to try and leverage, like Preacher, like a aesthetic or trappings or anything like that,
Yeah, that's true.
But
it's not like them to use some other IP's aesthetics for their skins.
Well, I was thinking more of like the religious official,
element.
not Preacher the comic. Although
it is very Preacher the comic.
Yeah, That being said, it does sound fucking cool.
And the last AU he's a part of is Pentakill.
Never heard of him.
Now, there is so much Pentakill lore. I had no fucking clue, y'all. Like, I knew there was Pentakill lore. I did not know how much Pentakill lore there was. There are whole websites, and each album has its own backstory, and it's fucking wild. I like highly, you should go to the website if Pentakill is kind of an AU that interests you, because there's a lot.
Well, we're going to be coming back to the Pentakill AU quite a few times, so
yeah. Unfortunately, Karthus is kind of the focal point.
Oh,
sure,
really?
but we could just focus on the Karthus parts and ignore the rest of the band members if possible.
Well, I did in my notes. This is all the Karthus
Yeah,
stuff
sure.
that's written down. I can see her uncomfortably looking at my notes if it's like a
I
page,
don't gotta read them. I don't give a
page of
fuck.
fucking block text here.
Yeah, you could have broken it up in paragraphs, John.
I tried. This was all my parents. I'm sorry. So Pentakill is a virtual band in real life comprised of League of Legends champions, which are performed by numerous musicians. Each member of the band has a skin corresponding to their Pentakill alter ego, which is styled after modern heavy metal music. And the basic AU realm blurb is, in a realm consecrated to dark and uncaring gods, where mortals clash in ceaseless bloody sagas of metal, one band rose above all others, Pentakill, chosen of the noisome host. Now revered in temples and arenas across the land, their supremacy has become absolute, though a time of change is approaching, and the cycle may soon begin anew.
Okay. This explains a lot of what was going on in that concert.
Oh boy. All right, so that concert, yeah. We'll get to that.
Okay.
So some quick backstory. The whole band kind of started because Mordekaiser was too good at guitar and kept destroying them through shredding too hard. So he looked for a guitar that could withstand his playing, and he found one deep in the Shuriman crypt. But as he grasped it, it filled him with murderous intent, and he went berserk, killing all his bandmates, who at the time included up-and-coming singer Karthus. So Pentakill Karthus was not born, but reborn. A promising metal vocalist in life, the demons of the Shadow Isle saw purpose in Karthus, and after his murder at the hands of Mordekaiser, imbued him with undeath before steeping his voice in the fury of countless lost souls. Karthus resumed singing, earning himself a fearsome reputation after eating a live Poro and gargling gravel during his Shadowstalk debut.
I wonder what that's a reference to.
Could be anything. He set about establishing himself as the Shadow Isle's finest vocalist, but soon grew tired with the lack of local instrumental talent, and remembering Mordekaiser's unmatched playing, Karthus sought passage back to Valoran and enlisted the help of the only musician Karthus felt was his equal, the bass-playing ferryman Yorick. And then they formed the rest of the band. We'll get into those recruitments when we get to those champs. So, other lore bits. After one live show in the Freljord, Mordekaiser went berserk and killed the crowd. So in an effort to stop the rampaging Mordekaiser, Karthus gave Olaf the order to drum the World Splitter rhythm to bring down the Icy Realm's highest peak upon Mordekaiser. To keep, to basically knock him down while the band fled to escape the wrath of the Freljordian battle queens, who were no doubt unhappy that the whole crowd got murdered. After that, Karthus kind of embarked on a solo career in Bilgewater, earning crust as a hooded reciter of funeral dirges. This had an unexpected health benefit to natives of Bilgewater, as people started looking after themselves rather than have to put their families through such an ordeal. They did not like Karthus' singing. Karthus made a career touring squalid dive bars to sing at the drunken wakes of murdered pirates instead, what with the grim dirges being a vast improvement on sea shanties. Unfortunately, this was not good for Karthus' mental health, and a slow descent into madness and obscurity beckoned until the radiant form of Kale arrived in Bilgewater. Kale had heard the depth. That's a hard word to say. Depthless.
You got
Sounds
it.
like I sound like fucking Donald Duck every time I try. Depthless
Pentakill,
well of
Donald
misery. In his despairing lyrics, and the two bonded immediately. After a night of gothic poetry and operatic singing, they pledged the vocalist's oath to reform the band, stronger than ever. So then they went around and recollected all the bandmates and got the band back together again. So the individual skins, because there's two of them, I think, for Pentakill Karthus. The first one, lead singer of heavy metal sensation Pentakill, Karthus sings in the voice of a fallen angel made of freshly polished chrome and dynamite that eats other dynamite.
I've heard Pentakill. I don't know what they're talking about.
Well, would you say that his vocals explode the sun in the sky, igniting the flame of metal within the hearts of all who hear it?
Yes, the earth is destroyed
Yeah.
every time a Pentakill
That
song
does
is
explain a lot. Maybe in the second album.
Speaking of which, Pentakill 3, Lost Chapter Karthus. All hail Karthus, the voice of doom, and chosen of the Perpetuum. His songs are bleak murder ballads, a bitter reminder that all things must die. Though, perhaps, not him? He also shows up in the short story The Dissonant Verses, but it's more of a Viego story, so we'll save that for then. If you want to check out the website, which has a bunch more lore, it is pentakill.leagueoflegends.com. There's also an interview with the band there. One little bit that I kind of liked there was that there was a section where you can ask questions from the crowd. One of the questions was, there are champs like Twitch and Sona who don't require much skill, and there are champs like Azir and Ryze who are practically impossible to play. What do you plan to do to bridge the imbalance gap between these champs? And Sona replies to this question in Morse code, but it translates to, what the fuck did you just fucking say about me, you little teeny bopper? I'll have you know, I play at the top tier in solo queue, and I've been involved in numerous sold-out shows for Pentakill, and I have over 300 confirmed assists. I'm trained in Etwall warfare, and I'm the top support in the entire League of Legends. You're nothing to me but just another assist.
Hell yeah, that's my girl.
They also ask if Graves can have his cigar back. Why can't Karthus be a skeleton again? To which Karthus schools them on the difference between a lich and a skeleton.
I guess that's fair. Maybe that's offensive if you call him a skeleton.
Skeleton.
That's fun shit, though.
And there are two cinematics that go along with this AU. The first one is just the music video for Mortal Reminder, which is set in Bandle City.
I hate it.
The Pentakill group just fucking absolutely rocks their shit. Mordekaiser's huge and walks through tons of buildings. He apparently has a problem of just destroying people wherever the band performs. And then Karthus uses his heavy metal necromancy to turn all the Yordles into headbanging spirits.
It's very like them destroying fucking everything and killing the entire crowd is like that's also very Metalocalypse to me.
It's very Metalocalypse.
I do like also, I like this song a lot, but I like also that they really, something about that image of like a big ass Mordekaiser breaking shit, they really liked that because they used that again in the concert.
They did, except they gave him such a dump truck in the concert.
I wasn't paying that much attention, I will say.
What? You weren't looking at his ass?
I gotta check it out.
Does it rival Kaisa's dump truck?
Here,
Is it like Pixar mom level?
Let me pull up a picture.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I gotta
Okay,
check
hell
it out.
yeah.
I'm curious.
Just look up more.
Give me that dump truck!
I'm gonna Google more dump truck.
No, John! No, it just dump trucks came up.
Oh, disappointing.
Yeah.
All right, I'll put in the full name, Mordekaiser.
Oh, okay, that'll do it for sure.
I hope we get a transformer, like... No.
Aw, all right. People need to tag their pictures better because I did see a bunch of images of this for the record.
You need to find some, or I'll look some up later because I'm curious. Because yeah, I put it on because I had not watched it when it came out, and I wasn't like sitting down watching it. I was doing other shit while it was kind of on in the background, so I was not like, I was just kind of catching the play by play. I don't know.
That's fair.
It was actually like it's a pretty fucking cool concert. So for those of you who don't know, the Pentakill Lost Chapter video is a full 45-minute video. It was an interactive concert with audience participation, full animation of all of the songs, which culminated in a boss battle against Viego. And Viego actually calls out a bunch of content creators by name during the show too, including Tobias Fate and Necrit. So it was a very cool thing, especially like if you're into this genre. I wish I could have. I think it would have been very different live as opposed to like watching the replay, because you get to see like the live counts of like, oh, everybody hit this button really, really quick, and the whole crowd was separated into 3 teams, and the 3 teams were competing against each other on all the challenges. So you get to see the results in real time, and it was pretty fun. It was a really cool idea, especially for like a pandemic concert.
I will say, yeah, I think given the constraints, that's, it's a fun interactive thing. You're saying Tenacious D is not like a good movie, but it is a fun kind of entertaining movie. That's what I would say about this. This is not necessarily like, you're not gonna sit down for 45 minutes and watch this. At least I don't think I would, because there's a lot of, it loses something in just like it being this sort of recorded video, and the animation's a little uncanny valley wonky, or because they're waiting for the crowd to like hit their button, like Viego will just kind of be standing there. I don't know, there's like some weirdness to this thing, but it's entertaining.
I'm sorry, John just showed me the butt. Ooh. And that's not a dump truck. The bar for how big a man's butt is to be considered a dump truck is so
well, they
low.
mean like on a static level, because remember, he's massive. He's like as tall as like a skyscraper. So just on the raw amount of ass, it's quite a lot.
I mean, sure.
This is a metric ton of ass.
But compared to the rest of his also gigantic body,
yeah,
I've seen better butts.
I mean,
that's all I'm saying.
Like I said, I don't remember it sticking out to me, but I was also only kind of half paying attention. So I don't know.
If you were fully invested, you would have.
Yeah,
it would have been seared into your memory, that Mordekaiser.
I will say there were moments in that concert too where, like, okay, so Viego, like for example, is being motion captured. Was it like live, right?
Yeah, it was like live.
And so they will show Viego all CG generated, right, with this kind of slightly stilted motion capture, but then they'll also show a little picture-in-picture of the actual singer who is doing the motion capture, but he's just in the mocap suit. And I really wish they didn't do that, because to me it really killed a lot of like the immersion, for lack of a better descriptor. I don't know, it was kind of weird.
Yeah, that could have been a behind-the-scenes video.
Yeah, right, I don't know. It's an interesting thing, I'll say.
Well, Mitchell Malloy is responsible for Mordekaiser's butt.
John.
So just in case y'all want
to send your
to
thank
add
you.
him.
Add him, follow him on Twitter. All right.
But yeah, so that was those are all of his AUs. I only have a handful of fun facts. If
Lay 'em on
y'all
me.
want some.
Hit me with it.
He's one of the 2 Shadow Isle champions with no direct relation to either the Ruined King or the Ruination.
Huh, yeah. That makes him more interesting, really, because he's not all tied up in all that bullshit. He's doing his own thing. You know?
Yeah. It's nice to be able to do a Shadow Isles champion and not have to, think about the Ruination.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
know.
Or Viego. I'm sick of thinking about Viego.
And this is probably his original voice actor as opposed to his newest one, but he's voiced by Adam Harrington, who also did Cassidon, Mordekaiser, Rise, and Shaco.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the old one, which I find very interesting because lots of times, especially when they've gotten the new voice, you can find that actor or actress, but you can't find the old person. And in this case, I would bet money that that's the old person, and I can't find who the new one is. I'm really, Karthus voice actor, if you're out there, and I know you are,
Hit us up.
let us know who you are, please. Yeah.
His Chinese classic splash art made a cameo in the 2011 Fright Night movie, along with the Fiddlestick splash art.
Really? Is that...
Really?
Huh?
Yeah, just kind of shows up in it.
Okay.
I saw
I'll
that,
have to...
but I saw it in the theaters before I knew what League of Legends was.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not heavily
Is it-
featured.
It's also not as good as the original 1980.
Yeah, I
something
assumed
Friday
it wasn't. That's why I didn't
Oh,
watch
it's also
it.
in that one.
Night. Shut up, Don. They George Lucased it. Just like added it.
That's weird. I'll have to go watch that now just to look for that crap.
Yeah.
In season 5, there was a time where he had an 87% win rate,
Oh my god.
but only because there was a bug where he could remain in death defiled form indefinitely while alive.
Dope.
And it's still only an 87%. So in the Mortal Reminder music video, you can see Karthus's to-do list, and it has the following: pick up dry cleaning, nail salon, mani-pedi, rotate tires, rotate mid, vanquish enemies, find out where those minions keep coming from, think about entire life, think about entire death. Does Kale have a boyfriend?
The rotate mid one got me, I will say.
Yeah, that's good.
It is confirmed by Jared Rosen that Pentakill, DJ Sona, and Popstar KDA are all in the same universe,
But so
Which-
DJ Sona is
which in some way means that DJ Sona just moonlights in one of
Right,
these,
yeah.
either as moonlights as a DJ in his heavy metal in the main time. But also, I think the more scary implication is I feel like we've decided at some point that Popstar KDA are in our world, given that they perform at the.
Yeah.
So somewhere out here is actual tower-sized Mordekaiser
He's gonna come
with his
his
tower-sized
giant
butt.
ass swaying and swishing. Yeah, that's
cheeks clapping.
who knows? Maybe that's what.
Double
That's
cheek
what
double.
thunder
Yeah, I was
is.
gonna say. Right, that's a creation myth for our world. Actually, there you go. Someone mocapped Viego, and there it went.
And finally, Pentakill Karthus got a drunken disorderly and was ordered by a judge in Demacia, which apparently Demacia is also a place in our world, since it's... he was ordered by a judge in Demacia to have a sober companion. They considered a few people for this position: Kennen MD, King Tryndamere, Bilgewater Swain, Nautilus, Corky, and regular Swain, who tried a new costume to try and get reconsidered after they passed on Bilgewater Swain.
What a great montage. I would have loved that.
He's got a big mustache. Oh man.
This is weird. But actually, one of my favorite movie tropes or scenes are like those silly montage scenes, like an audition montage when like everyone's really terrible or something like that.
Yeah.
Love those.
I thought you were going to say like the bad disguise scenes,
Well,
which I
mean,
feel like I enjoy a lot.
that's also fun.
And when they pair up,
Anytime you can get two children in a trench coat to sneak into a PG-13 movie. I'm there for
I'm glad
it.
you didn't end it.
So you just like the Little Rascals.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I just really like the Little Rascals.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm glad you didn't end that sentence at "get two children in a trench coat." Period. But
I'm also glad.
yeah, I'm glad we talked about it too.
All right. Yeah, me too. Anyone have any final Karthus thoughts?
I was gonna say one thing is that the person who does the vocals for the actual music Pentakill is Jorn. Oh God, it's Jorn Landa, I want to say, who was the lead vocalist in Master Plan for a good chunk of time. I like Master Plan a lot, so that's all. It's fucking cool. I like a lot of the Pentakill music in general, also.
Yeah, they got some heavy hitters in there. They got is it which band member from? God, I'm blanking on every band name in the fucking world
Beatles.
now. Dream Theater.
Oh.
They got one of the Dream Theater band members. I forget which one.
Oh, really? Interesting. Huh.
It's also confused. I always forget the name Dream Theater because I listen to a lot more Liquid Tension Experiment than I do Dream Theater. I'd never actually listened to Dream Theater, and I was like, oh, this is basically the same people, but with the vocals.
Yeah. Dream Theater is the only band that I felt like I'd listened to quite a bit when I heard about the Pentakill people. I'm like, I don't know any of these bands. Oh, Dream Theater. I know them.
Interesting. It's it's so funny because I used to listen to a lot of metal and I don't listen to it much these days, and so it's interesting looking to see. Like, I was like, I don't know this band. I mean, some of these things I do know. I thought it was interesting in the concert. I was like, who is it that doing Viego? He looks young. He looks like somebody who I have no idea who the fuck that is. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, some metalcore guy that I don't fucking know at all. But I don't know. But it's cool. I think the whole Pentakill thing is super fucking cool. I'll just say it's such a neat thing for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say, like, the dedication to do a full 45 minutes of CG animation for this concert for this side project band, man, that I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's interesting just how much. I mean, Pentakill, I think, gets a lot of traction. I think there's a lot of metalheads in the League community. I feel like, I don't know. So
I like that they're willing to do like full-on music groups like this, and they did vastly different genres. So like,
yeah,
if you're not a fan of K-pop, you can really enjoy Pentakill or something like that.
Yeah, that's also true. It's a really, I mean, it's interesting that they A, do that, and then B, seem to do it very well. Like, they're able to execute very effectively in these different spaces, Yeah,
there's a lot of there's a very rare care that they put into their music when approaching a new genre for the first time. Like, you definitely get the feel that, like, the people who do Pentakill aren't people who are like, hey, let's just do a metal band and we'll figure out something about metal and we can probably make some sort of facsimile because we're all talented musicians. Like, you could tell that they get people on board who are, like, really passionate about every genre that they decide to tackle and do a really fucking good job with it. And if they don't have the expertise, in the music department, they bring in experts from fucking Dream Theater and other metal bands. Like, yeah, it's it's impressive.
Yeah,
we stand the music department here.
for sure. That's it.
All right, I think that's Karthus.
That's Karthus.
That's Karthus. Thank you for listening. You can find us on Twitter. It's at Loreheads, and we have a Discord where we all kind of chat about the most random crap. And the link to that is in the description of this episode. We also post these on YouTube if you ever want to chat there. And we have a Patreon now. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that. Sorry.
And yeah, we're gonna be streaming. Try to get our weekly streams more consistent.
John's he streamed TFT yesterday. He'll probably do that again sometime during the week. Not this week necessarily. Well, actually, probably this week since listening to it. But anyway, we tend to stream Saturdays at like 7, 8 p.m. EST. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We just play normals badly, but it's fun.
For us.
Yeah. It might not be fun to watch. Sorry if it's not.
Glowing recommendation for our stream.
Woo! And join us next week because we're going to talk about the Void Walker Cassidon.